And there is a little trick to this, and it doesn't work that often, but there is a little trick for it. Some wines don't. Hello, Chef Marcus Guiliano here, and I'm your chef on a mission. Today's mission is planning a wine list. Planning a wine list. This is answering a specific question for a friend, and I'm going to just go over what I feel are the basic principles for planning a small, nice wine list. I've done this for several restaurants. People know that I'm into wine, and I love wine, and I visit wineries all over the world. We do winery trips at my restaurant. So, and I love tasting wine, and I love meeting the owners and the vintners. Really fascinating stuff. So here's some general rules that I like to do if I were to plan a list between, let's say, 8 and 12 selections. Most of those, or all of those, being by the glass. Actually, all of those being by the glass. If you're doing that small, tight of a list, you might want 1 or 2 bottles that might be by the bottle. That might be a higher price. But really, you want 4 whites, 4 reds, and a rosé, and maybe a sparkling prosecco or a cava, something like that. That's the basic general rules. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the value perception in planning this list. So here's what a restaurateur wants to avoid. A restaurateur wants to avoid selling a glass of, let's say, Mondavi, Cabernet, or another bigger brand like Chateau Saint Michel or Yellowtail. You want to avoid selling brands like that then the consumer can your guests can walk into the liquor store, wine shop down the street and saying, oh my gosh, look at this bottle of wine. It's $8. I just paid $8 a glass for it down the street. I got ripped off. Because a lot of people don't understand that us restaurateurs need to mark things up really to cover our labor and all the other bills that are associated with running a restaurant. People don't understand that. So it makes it a little discouraging for guests and the consumer to see you having one price, a high price by the glass, and then them going to the store down the street and saying, man, look at this. Man, he's raking it in down the street. So here's what I like to do. I like to find small, little boutique-y brands, small brands that don't get much distribution. And there is a little trick to this, and it doesn't work that often, but there is a little trick for it. Some wines don't have barcodes on the back of them. And if a wine doesn't have a barcode on the back of them, it means a liquor store, wine shop, a retail store doesn't want it because they're used to scanning everything. Now, it doesn't happen often, but if you can find a wine like that, that's almost guaranteed that it's not going to be found in a retail store. But other than that, ask your rep. Get in depth with your rep and ask your rep, say, hey, listen, I know we need Sauv Blanc. I know we need Chardonnay. I know we need Riesling. I know we need, this. I know we need Cab. I know we need Merlot. I know we need Pinot Noir. We might need a Chianti. We might need, some kind of other red wine in the mix there. But ask your wine rep to pick out wines for you that they know that don't get mass distribution, that don't have big distribution. So, for example, we buy a lot of Portuguese wines. We buy a lot of Spanish wines. Spanish wines are a great value. Portuguese wines are an insane value. And sometimes it's up to you as the restaurant owner or the bartender, wine manager, sommelier, the server, to not upsell, but kind of explain the wine a little bit or give a little sample taste. And the person will say, oh yeah, we have a lot of people that walk in and say, I want Merlot. We don't sell Merlot. We don't have Merlot by the glass. But I say, try this Portuguese, try this Spanish, try this Tempranillo, try this Malbec. They're just saying Merlot because they just think Merlot. You don't, trust me, 9 out of 10 times you don't have some Merlot aficionado sitting there asking you for Merlot who only drinks Merlot. That's not how that works. Same thing with Cabernet. Same thing with a lot of those other things. You say, hey, I got this great Portuguese blend, Touriga Nacional. You don't even need to know Touriga Nacional is a varietal. So, hey, I have this great Portuguese blend. Try it. Bam, taste it. Sold. Now, the chances are that's not floor stacked down the street. That's not in clear day where, so they can say, okay, there actually is a way to buy wines for like $4 or $5 a bottle and sell them for $8 a glass, as opposed to buying wines for $8, $9 a bottle and charging $8 or $9 a glass. You can really, really increase your margins, but you have to do the research. It's up to the restaurateur to do the research on those and have your rep help do that. So here's the basic question you want to ask your rep. I would like to taste some wines. I'd like you to show me some wines that don't have big retail distribution. I want some basic varietals, and then I want a couple other ones that, you know, that are really going to be like different and unique. If you offer something that's one or two things that are different and unique, people are going to remember that. I'm like, oh yeah, I had that great. What was that? That Spanish, that Portuguese, and they're gonna talk about it, and that's the way to plan a nice little list. So yeah. So when it comes to big brands, Yellowtail, Mondavi, really all those big brands, the margins are much lower, and you have the potential of making a guest say, wow, I just got ripped off because it's floor stacked. Now, in the state of New York, where I'm at in the state of New York, or in all the state of New York, we have discount deals on multiple cases. A lot of states, I believe, are like that. So the disadvantage, like for me, if I were to buy Yellowtail, I don't buy Yellowtail, or Barefoot Sellers. If I were to buy Barefoot Sellers, maybe case 1 is $10 a bottle. Case 2 might be $9.50. Case 3 might drop down to $9. Case 5 might be at $7.50. Case 10 might be at $6.50, and case 25 might be at $6 a bottle. I'm a restaurateur. I can only buy 1 to 2, 3 cases at a time because I have all these other wines on my list. I'm not buying 25 cases. Some restaurants can. They're doing enough volume, or their list is so small. I have hundreds of wines on my list, and I don't have the luxury of tying up inventory like that. So for me, I'm now buying. I'm just using Barefoot as an example, by the way. I don't know this is the pricing structure, but this is what happens in New York, and I'm sure at a lot of other states. I'm going to buy Barefoot Sellers case 1 for $10. The guy down the street who's floor stacking is buying 25 cases for $6. He's thrown it on his list for on his shelf for $9.99, and I'm sitting here, man, I can buy this cheaper going down the street. Now, in New York, that's illegal to do that. Some states you're allowed a certain amount. Find out the laws in each specific state, how that works, if you can go buy from retail or not. New York, it's not legal at all. Everything has to come from a licensed vendor that I have on premises. That's why BYOB is illegal. Technically illegal in New York, just not enforced. So back to that pricing structure. Now, me as a restaurateur, $10, the guy down the street paying $6, I have an unfair advantage. Now, there's a lot of wines in New York that aren't multi-case deal, where case 1 is the only price, or maybe the deepest deal goes on case 2 or case 3, which I can be like, okay, now I'm at a fair advantage with the guy down the street. It doesn't matter how big the store is down the street. Him and I could only buy 3 cases for the best deal, and that's it, or 1 case for the best deal, and that's it. We're on a level playing field. But again, I don't really want to buy what the guy has down the street, and I ask every single rep. Well, now every single rep knows, hey, taste this, Marcus. Distribution is not that good on it. They don't have it here in your town, this or that, because they know where they're selling stuff. And of course, the guy down the street here in New York has the right to buy anything he wants if it's posted with the state. But if the salesperson isn't actively showing him, he's not going to know about it. New York State has 25,000 different wine titles. A lot of states have thousands and thousands and thousands, New York being the most. So chances are the guy, even if your state has 5,000 wine titles or 15,000 wine titles, something like Florida, chances are the guy on the street's not going to buy what you're buying. And if you do, you just start the process over again. So hopefully that helps you plan a wine list, a profitable wine by the glass list or little wine list. Thanks for watching. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano.